Yo, what's up? It's Jay, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite and, in my opinion, the scariest current fighter in one fight championship, and that, of course, is the featherweight Muay Thai champion Tawanchai PK. Now, I fucking love this dude so much. This guy is lethal. He's cold. He's calm. He's calculating, but he's so dangerous. And that's why I love his style so much. He's very, very calm. He's so accurate and so powerful. So I'm going to break down some of the stuff I see from his fights and just show how deadly he is. So the first fight I'm going to look at is probably his most popular performance and most dominant performance to date, and that's his performance against Sean Clancy, where he just absolutely destroys this guy start to finish, just dropping bombs on him. So take a look.
Orthodox on Clubber Clancy.
Well, those matches that you were speaking about with Kulab Dom were decision wins, and it's just beautiful technical precision.
You've seen this first exchange from Tawanchai. He uses these teeps as kind of a rangefinder. He throws one to the hip, one to the knee of Sean Clancy, and he uses these kind of to gauge the range, but also the calmness in which he throws them. He's trying to bait Sean Clancy in and get him comfortable with that range so he can land that power shot. Sean Clancy immediately starts this fight off by pressuring Tawanchai, and Tawanchai uses these teeps to gauge the range, back Sean Clancy up, and he lands this bomb head kick right at the start of the fight, which helps him set the pace and set the distance for what Sean Clancy is comfortable doing. Landing a head kick like that, which landed flush, this early into the fight is very crucial because it makes Sean Clancy think twice about pressuring like that later in the fight. Clancy immediately repressures after the kick, and Tawanchai slips on the outside of this straight punch and circles out. If you notice, Sean Clancy throughout the fight keeps doing this little like step forward thing to try to enter the range, and he kind of switches stance with it. And Tawanchai tries to capitalize on this by throwing this big step in lead elbow, but he misses. Sean Clancy does this again, and Tawanchai throws this body kick while he's stepping over into southpaw, exposing that liver. And it lands, but unfortunately got poked in the eye in the sequence. And the kick landed kind of high as well.
Cracks the back leg. Goes up.
Throughout this fight, every time Tawanchai chips at Sean Clancy, Sean Clancy doesn't really give any reactions. And even when he gets caught, he doesn't move. He stands there or comes forward. And in this clip here, Tawanchai, he knows this. He throws a hard leg kick, gets absolutely no reaction from Sean Clancy, so he immediately goes upstairs, and it's kind of the same thing happens. Sean Clancy just eats it, and although it's kind of blocked, the kick still lands.
The back leg. Goes up to the head.
He's so fast with those kicks, man, and the way that he does it, there's almost no tell whatsoever.
In this clip, there's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to try to do it quickly. Off the head kick, Sean Clancy catches Tawanchai's leg and backs him up into the fence to try to get his own attack. He throws this left hook that Tawanchai blocks perfectly. He moves to the outside, and you see he kind of ties up with Sean Clancy, and he throws this big inside right hand that lands nicely, and he moves outside again, but you could see he ties up the arm on the outside with Sean Clancy, and although he lets it go, he kind of pushes him away, gets his range. But take note of Sean Clancy's arm and how he's defending this left hand from Tawanchai. He's putting his arm up kind of cross-faced to try to block the other side that he's turned to. And Tawanchai uses this, and he tries to sneak up under it with this big lead uppercut, and then he follows it up with his right hand that drops Sean Clancy bad. This exchange is masterclass from Tawanchai. He stays completely calm throughout the entire exchange. He doesn't panic and react with random strikes, just trying to push Sean Clancy back. He takes his time. He defends against Sean Clancy's strikes. He finds the openings to land his own, and he lands with precision on these openings. Just notice in this exchange how the exact same thing that happened to Sean Clancy to get dropped happens again. Sean Clancy uses his rear arm to post up in front of his face and block that left hand. Tawanchai tries to sneak under it with the uppercut and then follow it up with the right hand. The only difference this time was that Sean Clancy wasn't trapped by the cage and was able to move out of range.
For Club of Clancy, the Irishman, second round of 3, 10-8 opening round unofficially, but you can't give it any other way. First round for Tawanchai.
Look how
I just want to stop for a quick moment to take some appreciation in for Tawanchai's perfect defense here. Going back to this inside step that Sean Clancy does, where he kind of fakes a teep or something to get inside the range of Tawanchai. And we saw in the first round, when he got this read, he just tried to counter, and he would land at the same time. But the risk with that is you run the risk of him just colliding with you and throwing something at the exact same time and trading. And Tawanchai is a very calculating guy. That's not really what he wants to do. So just look at the way he defends these 3 different range attempts from Sean Clancy here. Sean Clancy off of this step in has looked for the lead elbow on a couple occasions in this fight, and Tawanchai notices this. And for the first defense here, all he does is he uses his right lead hand to frame off the lead hand of Sean Clancy so that if he tries to step in, that elbow isn't available. The second time here, Tawanchai takes a little bit of a risk, and when Sean Clancy steps in like this, Tawanchai says, fuck it, I'm going to throw a lead elbow too and try to beat him to the punch, and they both kind of collide here. And this is a very risky situation here, and although Sean Clancy's elbow doesn't land, it could have, and it's still risky, and that's what I was talking about a minute ago. On this third attempt from Sean Clancy, Tawanchai decides to tone it down a little bit and chill out a little bit after he tried to go for that counter, and in this sequence he just perfectly defends it. When Sean Clancy steps over, this time with his rear leg, Tawanchai is thinking a couple things. He's thinking range and that elbow again. Because he stepped over with that right, he's thinking it's going to come from that right elbow. So you see here he uses his left arm to frame that right hand of Sean Clancy to keep that elbow away, and he uses his other arm to just push Sean Clancy's face away and not let him get in range.
and just he's walking through Central Park on a Sunday afternoon.
He's having a coffee.
Range is a huge thing in this fight for Sean Clancy, and in this fight we've seen him go about closing the range with Tawanchai in 2 ways. The first way we saw was that step in, where he lifts his leg and steps in to get the range, but this hasn't been working for him. And the other thing we've seen him do that we haven't mentioned yet is this frame and step in with a punch. Sometimes he doesn't even frame with it and he just comes in with an attack, usually a straight punch, and off of that he looks to keep walking forward and throwing a longer combo. Now he's been able to throw a couple of these, but 90% of the time it's not a very hard combo and Tawanchai lands harder. But I just want you to see this counter that Tawanchai has landed a couple times. I love this right hook, lead right hook counter from Tawanchai when Sean Clancy steps in like this, because it's so hard to see. When you kind of duck down or you throw a straight punch and you really lean forward with that punch trying to close range, sometimes it's hard to see around your peripheral vision. Tawanchai is great with his elbows inside and his straight punches and everything, but this attack is perfect for this scenario because it loops around and Sean Clancy doesn't even see it coming. He lands it multiple times in this fight, and even in this sequence where Sean Clancy ducks down and goes for a body shot, Tawanchai is so accurate with that punch that he dips it down and still lands perfectly on the jaw. Here's another example of that exact same thing happening a couple minutes later.
Every single shot he throws and initiates, he lands.
And guys, you don't see the downward.
Notice how Sean ducks with a straight, Tawanchai pulls and lets that lead hook go.
10 seconds. You can see.
Now, I haven't included all of them because there have been so many of these. Like, Tawanchai has landed so many head kicks just like this in this screenshot here. But the thing I want to talk about is the way Sean Clancy is defending them. You see, on all of these, he basically blocks it with one arm, which you can't do. You can't block a fucking shin with one of your arms. And then he hooks around with the other one and catches the kick, or at least tries to catch the kick. But as I just said, this is not a way to defend a head kick because your kick is way stronger than one person's forearm. So you have to at least use both arms. Well, Sean Clancy knows this, and he decides to switch up his defense, I guess, for this high kick because it's been landing over and over and over. And instead, in this clip, he opts to lean back, which is a super, super risky move. But if performed correctly, it is a good way to avoid the attack. But we'll see how that works out in a bit.
Rear hook there from Clubber Clancy. Tawanchai.
Now, I don't want to say that Tawanchai is headhunting here because it seems like he's been headhunting the entire fight, but when Sean Clancy goes for this step in again, we saw a little bit ago he tried this step in elbow where he lands the elbow before Sean Clancy does, and it's a risky move because we saw last time they ended up just clashing elbows together, but it kind of gives you some insight to what he's thinking right now and how he's already up so much, he's looking to take those bigger risks now.
I like how he changes stances when he throws that right hand. He comes forward, changes stances, and then lands!
Bang! The big kibosh! It's good night, Irene!
Going back to what we talked about a minute or two ago, a huge problem for Sean Clancy in this fight was these head kicks. Tawanchai was landing these head kicks over and over and over and over and over. And now, even though most of them Sean Clancy had one arm up, as said before, you cannot block a kick, a head kick especially, with one arm. And Sean Clancy knows this. He took a lot of damage from those kicks, and it forced him to try to switch it up. And unfortunately, he chose the wrong way to switch it up, and it costed him this fight. And even though he was losing already, this was a huge knockout, a bad one too, that just stubbed off of a bad decision from a great play from Tawanchai. Tawanchai right now is my favorite Muay Thai fighter in one championship, and the calmness in which he does everything and the power that goes along with it is so enamoring to me, and I just love watching him fight for this reason. Although this is an old fight, this is still probably my favorite performance from Tawanchai because of how ruthless and brutal it is. He's just ahead of Sean Clancy at every turn. He takes basically zero damage. We can even see in this photo right here, he's completely fine while Sean Clancy looks like he's been through a meat grinder. This guy is no joke, and we've seen what he's been doing recently, and this guy, he's just the best, man. He's fucking awesome, and this was an excellent performance from him.
I think if I walk past Tawanchai down the street, I would completely underestimate him as being the fighter that he is.